Today I'm showing you exactly what I prepped this week for breakfast, lunch, and dinner that set me up for simple, healthy meals all week. I've been on a GLP-1 for a whole year and I've lost 34 pounds, but I'm still trying to figure out how to stay consistent in eating the healthy diet that I want to eat. Getting enough protein and enough fiber while losing fat and protecting lean muscle mass. It takes a little bit of strategy, and meal prep is the thing that really makes it click for me. If easy, high protein, high fiber ideas sound good to you, let's get into it. If you're new here, hi, I'm Bobby. I'm a therapist and an artist, and I'm sharing my GLP-1 health journey after menopause here on YouTube. I'm not a medical doctor and I'm not your therapist. I'm just sharing my experience and talking about the things that are working for me. So always stick to what's working for you and what your own healthcare providers are telling you. When I say easy meals, I mean really easy. Sunday's my meal prep day, and I don't typically have all day to spend in the kitchen. So I'll do some cooking, but I also rely on some ready-to-eat things, and I'll tell you more about that later. Sometimes in my most frenetic, I don't have time to meal plan weeks, my meal prep looks something like this. Just ready to eat meals right from the supermarket. But I found that that's actually a better strategy for me than just saying, well, I didn't have time to meal prep, I guess I'll wing it this week. And then what I do is I just don't eat, because the appetite suppression with the Zepbound that I'm on is strong enough that I can really easily skip meals. And that's part of the strategy of me meal prepping, is that it helps me to not skip meals when I know there's something there for me to just grab. So if it's a supermarket meal, I just try to make it like the healthiest supermarket meal that it can be. And yeah, that's better than skipping a meal. The meal prep is part of a kind of two-part strategy for me to eat consistent meals with all of this appetite suppression. The other piece is actually setting alarms to eat. Never thought I'd have to do that. I've been working with a dietitian for a while, and that's just helped me kind of come to terms with the fact that I gotta do what I gotta do to eat regular. And if it's setting alarms and meal prepping, so be it. So yeah, when the alarm goes off, I'm like, it's time to eat. And I know that there's something healthy for me to eat. I do get hungry on Zepbound, but it's kind of unpredictable when it will happen. It's not always at mealtime. You'll see in yesterday's eating, I'll show you the meal prep for the whole week, but then I'll really show you like what I ate yesterday. And you'll see that I had a couple snacks. So I do get hungry, but it's not predictable. And so when it's lunchtime, I might not be hungry, and I don't want to skip lunch, because then all of a sudden it's like almost dinner time. And I never had lunch. There are times that I don't get hungry and I don't realize that I need food until I'm tired and cranky. It's like I'm a toddler, right? Not to mention, habitually under-eating is not great for our metabolisms. And I'm trying to keep my lean mass up. I'm trying to keep my metabolism up. So, I want to eat regularly. If you've been here on my channel before, it's just been a struggle for the whole past year of me trying to eat enough. You might think that's a great problem to have, but under-eating isn't really great for us. I understand if you're on a GLP-1, you're trying to lose weight, and I'm trying to lose weight. I'm still overweight. I've lost 34 pounds, but I probably have another 10 or 15 pounds to go before I'm not overweight. I've just been trying to hit that sweet spot this past year of eating enough so that I get nutrition, I get protein, I get fiber, I get the vitamins and minerals that I need, but stay in a calorie deficit. And on this medication, I'm on 7.5 milligrams of Zepbound right now, and it's not difficult to eat in a calorie deficit. The problem is keeping the calorie deficit small enough so that I'm not going to lose more than a pound or so a week. It hasn't been as fast as a pound a week. It's been less than that, but that's kind of what I want, is slow and steady. So the menu for this week is yogurt parfaits for breakfast, meals from Thistle for lunch. I told you it was going to be easy. And a white bean sausage spinach stew for dinner. You might not like eating the same thing every night for dinner. It doesn't bother me. It does bother my husband. And so I have more variety in my dinners when he's home, but he's gone this week. I'm totally fine with making a big batch of something and eating it every night for dinner. If you're enjoying this, please remember to hit like. It really helps YouTube show this to more people who are, wondering what to eat on a GLP-1. And also think about subscribing, and that way you can stay up to date when I've got a new video out. I also have an email newsletter that you can sign up for in the description below. When you sign up, you automatically get a recipe for my protein smoothie. And the newsletter is something I send out about every 2 weeks with behind the scenes stuff, things that don't make it into my YouTube videos, tips and stuff like that, and some personal news that I don't want to share on YouTube. So I'll put the link to that in the description below too. Breakfast has been the hardest meal for me to be consistent with because I'm not really a morning person, so I want something ready to eat. Otherwise, I'm just gonna have my coffee and that'll be it. For a long time, I was relying on protein coffee to at least get something, right, in the morning. But working with my dietitian, I was like, I kind of want to eat some real food in the morning. I feel like the protein coffee, it's pretty processed. And I knew I had it in me to drink a cup of coffee and a smallish, on the small side meal. So breakfast prep was really kind of non-negotiable for me at this point in time. Okay, let me walk you through the meal prep for my breakfast. So these are the ingredients that'll go into the yogurt parfait. Got some Greek yogurt, frozen raspberries and blueberries, some chia seeds, and a little bit of grain-free granola. And the first thing I do is I defrost the raspberries. I put about 2 cups in there. And once it's out, I want to make sure that, some liquid is in there. And the reason why that's important to make sure that there's some liquid, yeah, there it is that I'm going to turn this into somewhat of a chia seed jam by adding a tablespoon of chia seeds and stirring it and letting it sit for a while. And the chia seeds absorb that raspberry juice and swell up, and the whole thing becomes kind of like a jam consistency. And that's going to be one layer of the yogurt parfait. So here it is looking kind of jam-like. And to sweeten it up, it was a little bit tart, so I added just a tablespoon of maple syrup, which this is 4 servings, so it's really not that much every day, but it just took like the tart edge off of it because it was a little too tart for me. And then I'm also doing 2 cups of blueberries, so that'll be a half cup of blueberries a day, half cup of raspberries a day. And I didn't defrost these because they're just going to defrost on their own in the jars. So I'm ready to start assembling now. And this part cracks me up because it is so messy and ugly. And if you look at like yogurt parfait recipes on the internet, right, they're so beautiful and they look so pretty. And so in my head, that's what mine look like. But every time I make them, they never look like that. The granola I add way after the fact. I store it separately. I just put 2 tablespoons of granola into these little containers, and then they're ready to go when I just dump them on top the day that I eat them, and that way it stays crunchy. So yeah, layering them up is pretty self-explanatory. I do like yogurt, raspberry, yogurt, blueberry, and then a little dollop of yogurt on top. It's pretty easy. And look how gorgeous and Pinterest worthy they are not. When I was making these, I decided they looked so good that I wanted one for lunch. So instead of making 4, I made 3. Here they are. And I ate one for lunch. So here's the bowl with the granola on top of the one that I had for lunch. And that is the breakfast prep. Now you'll notice that there are only 3 left in the fridge. So I've got 3 breakfasts for the week. And that's okay because there are some days when I want a little variety. And as long as I know that I have something I could grab if I wanted to, then I feel it's a psychological trick really, because I could have some of these left in the fridge and I'll be like, okay, breakfast time, but the yogurt parfait doesn't sound good to me. And since I know that I'm going to eat something because the yogurt parfait is there, I'll feel motivated enough to make what I really feel like eating in the moment. It can be a little unpredictable, not just because of GLP-1s, but just because, we're human and we want a little variety. And so there was a morning this week when I was like, I want something warm. And so I made a little oatmeal and put some berries in it. And that's what I had for breakfast. And there's probably a day most weeks when I want an English muffin with peanut butter on it. And then I slice a banana and put that on the peanut butter. And so those are just like super easy things to make really fast. It's actually, I found, better for me to have about 3 meals prepped for 5 days, because if I've got 5 of them for the week, 1 or 2 of them might go bad and just sit there not eaten because I don't feel like eating it. So when I don't have it in me to prep all 3 meals for the week, I go super easy, done for me for 1 meal. It could be lunch or dinner, it doesn't matter. And sometimes it's that supermarket strategy I talked about of having a pretty healthy frozen meal to eat, salad from the supermarket. And then sometimes I treat myself to something that is actually a little fresher. I've been using Thistle meal delivery on and off for the past 9 months, mostly off, but it's easy to turn your subscription on and off. This is not sponsored. Thistle doesn't even know I exist, except as a customer. But if you're a customer with them, you do get a referral code that saves people a little bit of money. So I'll put that referral code in the description below. But anyway, I appreciate their meals because they're very fresh and there are no artificial ingredients or preservatives in them. So this is a week that I did order Thistle. You can order every single meal and snacks from there if you want to, but because I'm kind of a cheapskate and I do like meal prepping, some of my meals, what I've been doing lately on and off is ordering 5 meals from them. And so that'll be my lunch every day or my dinner every day. So this week I ordered 5 meals and I'll walk you through what those are and show you what I had for lunch yesterday. I sort of had to get over feeling like I was cheating. I swear my dietitian is like a therapist for me. Because you might think meal prep means you're in the kitchen and you're cooking and stuff. And I mean, it does, with my breakfast and my dinner. But sometimes it's just prepping to have food ready to eat, even if that means that it's being delivered to your door. It costs about $100 for 5 meals from Thistle, so that's about $20 a meal. And at first I was like, that's way too much. But then I thought about, if I DoorDashed Chipotle, it would be more than $20. So that's my rationalization. You don't get a bunch of the same meals, you get to pick from their menu. And so here are the 5 meals that I had ordered for this week. And what I grabbed to eat yesterday was the Penang stir-fry bowl with sesame roasted chicken. By the way, all of these meals are available either plant-based or with meat on them. I usually order them with meat on them unless it's got something really high protein in it, like tofu. But if you're plant-based, Thistle is a great resource for you because everything is by default plant-based and the meat is extra. So you can see everything's really fresh. The broccoli did arrive steamed, pre-steamed, and I took the dressing out and just decanted all the ingredients into a bowl and microwaved it for a couple minutes. The spinach on top was at the bottom of that container, and it just, in 2 minutes in the microwave, it got really wilted. So you can see that, it basically cooked in the microwave, and I stirred it up. And then I poured the sauce on it, and it was really tasty. It was literally 2 minutes in the microwave. So that's great because when I am eating lunch, sometimes I have a lunch hour, but sometimes I've got clients booked all day and I've got, 10 or 15 minutes in between clients. And so I'll microwave this for 2 minutes and then eat it, in between clients. It's not ideal. Sometimes I'll eat half of it and then an hour later I'll eat the other half of it, just, tepid room temperature. And that's fine. I mean, it's still good, but I try to have a lunch hour off, but it's just not how my schedule works sometimes. The nutritional breakdown of the Thistle meals varies from meal to meal. You can see for the one that I had that day, it had 630 calories, 38 grams of protein, and 9 grams of fiber. And that's pretty typical for their meals. I'm going to give you a quick rundown here of the other Thistle meals and what their nutritional information is. Some of them are salads, which is what they put in their lunch category. And I ordered 3 salads and 2 what they call dinners this week, even though I was eating them at lunchtime. It doesn't matter. The meals all come with some kind of sauce. So when you total up the meal and the sauce, I'll put that information up here. Okay, for dinner, I cooked a batch of white bean turkey sausage stew with spinach in it. And I kind of just made this recipe up based on having made it following recipes in the past, so I just sort of remembered basically what's in it. The first thing I did was saute the sausage and just get it cooked. Once it was cooked, I took it out of the pan and added a cup of diced onion to the pan and just cooked that until it was translucent. Right before I took it out, I added garlic, red pepper flakes, and oregano, and let the garlic, like, just cook a little bit. You don't wanna let it burn. And then I added 2 cups of bone broth. You can use vegetable stock or chicken stock or whatever, but I like to use bone broth because it adds some extra protein to the recipe. And then I added 2 cans of cannellini beans drained and a cup of diced tomatoes, which I just got from a can. And I brought that to a boil, and then I simmered it for about 15 minutes to reduce it and let it thicken a little bit. And yeah, after about 15 minutes, this is what it looked like. And I added a whole little container of spinach to it, which wilted down in, you know how fast spinach wilts. It took I stirred it for a minute or two, and it was really wilted, and it looked like this. And once it cooled off a little bit, I moved it into a couple of Pyrex containers and put it in the fridge. And this makes, for me, about 6 servings. So I'm going to freeze some of this. I don't think I'll get through it all this week. You'll notice I didn't add any salt to this. I did taste to see if it needed salt, and it didn't. I think the sausage must have been really salty because this batch turned out pretty salty, even though I didn't add salt. So your results may vary if you make this. Just taste it and see if it needs any salt. Also, the way I serve this is with a tablespoon of grated Parmesan on top of it, because when you stir it in, it helps it get even more creamy. Also, Parmesan is really high in protein. 1 ounce has 10 grams of protein. So a tablespoon is less than an ounce, but it's still just it adds up. Per serving of this stew, it's 292 calories, 27 grams of protein, and 10 grams of fiber. So my total for the day was about 1,600 calories, 111 grams of protein, and 41 grams of fiber. So that's right on my goals. I try to hit 100 or more grams of protein a day and 25 to 35 grams of fiber a day. Eating 41 is fine. You don't want to increase your fiber intake really fast. That can just be really bad for constipation. But if you gradually increase your fiber intake, you can eat more fiber. I find I usually get 25 to 35, but if I go over a little bit like that, it's fine. I don't experience any adverse effects. I've worked with 2 different dietitians over the past year, and they both told me that to lose slow and steady weight based on my height, my level of activity, and everything, that my calorie goal was around 1,700 calories or no less than 1,500. So 1,500 to 1,700 to lose weight and stay healthy. So hitting 1,600 calories sounds great to me. And you'll notice that there are a couple of snacks in there. The Bear bar was something that I ate after I worked out yesterday. I was kind of hungry. It was about 4 in the afternoon, so it'd been a while since lunch, and I knew it'd be a couple hours till dinner, so I ate a protein bar. And then the other snack I ate dinner around 6, and around 8, I wanted a little something, and I had an apple with just 1 tablespoon of peanut butter on it, and it was nice. That's one of my favorite snacks. I know that some people, it doesn't bother them at all to eat the same meal over and over again, and some people really don't want to do that, and that makes sense to me. I'm usually in the camp of it doesn't bother me to eat the same thing for a while, within reason, and then I want a little variety. Usually what happens is I'll eat the same thing on repeat for a while, and then I'll switch to something else and eat that on repeat for a while. So I just think about what sounds good to me right now, and this week it was yogurt parfait, and the white bean and sausage stew just sounded really good this week. So I knew that it would be fine to eat them on repeat. Let me know in the comments if you're in the variety camp or if you're in the eat things on repeat camp. My episode last week was on rucking, and guys, I'm having so much fun with it. Last weekend, I went on a 5-mile hike with a backpack on in the forest, and it was really fun. And I have a little break this afternoon between clients, and I'm just gonna put on a backpack and go on a walk in my neighborhood. So I'm really kinda getting into this.